Hello everyone and welcome. This is another YouTube tutorial, another guide about a game that I'm playing for quite a while. I would say I'm a veteran of X4 Foundations. This guide is about how to become an economical powerhouse in this game. And I'm recommending it to everybody who plans to play the game before playing the game, because the game has a couple let's say shortcomings in terms of what you could do wrong or right, which will completely dick you over in the later game if you do a wrong decision. And this can probably end your game. Like, there are really such things in there that completely take the floor underneath your feet away. So this guide aims to be a short version of what to do to become an economical powerhouse. So, before starting to become an economical powerhouse, sit down with the theory lessons presented to you by YouTubers like Captain Collins, JK Ninja, Wild Fable, Francis John, Captain Snuggles, and this Indian guy that completely breaks down what you need to have in order to have a perfectly balanced. Oops, my microphone was still mute. I'm sorry for that. To have a perfectly balanced ship dwarf. They will teach you about global orders, repeat orders, the value behind stars and abilities of your subordinates, trading and station building, dwarfs and trade stations. The guide you're currently watching, in order to save you time and not to lose your attention span, expects you to know the basics about these topics. So let's get right into it. This is the first thing that you probably will see when you start X4 Foundations. It's a huge map, and you're currently only seeing a couple sectors, and you are questioning yourself what to do now. So first things first, X4 Foundations is a sandbox game, so you can do whatever you want in order to have fun. And I think the most important part of playing video games in general is to get some sort of value back from it. So you want to have fun. So it's completely okay when you completely grind through the story and not doing anything I'm telling in this guide. But this guide will help you to have an easy start to the game, to get access to money, etc., etc. So step one, what you want to do: crystal mining. No, that's outdated. That's 1 hour work for 100k credits, and we can do better than that. So the first thing you want to do is step one: pick up free Paranoid Destroyer, sell the ship, and buy auto miners for this. So what I want to show you is there are abundant ships in the universe, and a lot of them have more or less value. The interesting one is definitely this one, the Odysseus Vanguard Destroyer. I'm clicking on it maybe. In Faulty Logic 7, it's usually around here. This ship is a flat value of around 6 million, and that's enough to have a perfectly functioning auto miner. My auto miners cost around 280k to 340k. You can have cheaper auto miners than that and even get more value off, especially since Kaak are not attacking your ore miners specifically. They only attack ore miners. I don't know what they have, but they don't care for gas and methane and etc., etc. In order to trigger Kaaks to so they start attacking your fleets, is like having more than 3 to 4 auto miners in a sector. So as long you are not going overboard with auto miners in a sector, you will have 0 losses. So 4 auto miners is completely fine. 8 means you need to have a functioning protection fleet, or once every 1 or 2 hours you will lose a miner when you're not constantly willing to get out of the immersion and check for these little things that we want to avoid. Step 2. Get an Argon Discoverer Vanguard. For pirating, Pio Freelancer Katanas. I'm using this interactive map because it shows you a lot of these informations like sun yield. And sun yield is a topic we will come to later, which is very important for how we create and how we establish our economy and our power in the universe. So in these 3 sectors, you will find Up. Terran katanas, which are called Pio freelancers. Each katana has a net value of around 1.2 million for the cheapest you can get, up to 2.8 million, and this one is completely stuffed to the brim with advanced satellites, etc., etc. They have a so frequent rate that you can basically get one, get the next, get the next, get the next, and you always have to travel between these three sectors. That means in 15 minutes you can have 2.8 million credits compared to 1 hour work for the crystal mines that gets you between 100k and 200k. So that is something to calculate around, because I say one Pio katana is basically like at least 3 good equipped auto miners you can get within 15 minutes. Faulty logic, I don't need to show you that, but I'm just doing it for the lols. Is here one of these, but that's that. So you get these these katanas out of 2 reasons. One, you want to have the money fast in order to set up multiple occasions where you can have auto miners out of the Xenon range. I will speak more about the logic behind the AI and how the universe will transform, because there is a major difference between the first 3 hours and after that. Like when you start a game, all storages of all factions will be filled to the brim and will be able to replenish all their ships all the time. But after, I would say, 4 to 5 hours, these stockpiles are completely drained, and that is when Xenon takes over and completely has the ability to change how your universe will look. The Xenon AI is random generated every game, so you can have a very hard AI, you can have a very low AI, but it's better to calculate in for the worst case. Otherwise, you will lose big possibilities for your economy, and we will go into that later. So let's get the dry theories out of the way. Uses a couple stolen fighters in order to pick up loot passively in war zones of friendly factions. I'm excluding everywhere near Xenon, because they will come and destroy these fighters. And the special thing about these fighters you are using to pick up loot between, for example, Argon and Top, which is always a war zone. In between here, I will say more about this specific war zone and how the economical side will impact both sides if this sector loses the ownership of the Holy Order. But right now, so Argon and Top, so you can place a fighter here who only picks up near the warp gate, or here, or on both sides. Both is valuable since it's a back and forth all the time. And you can set him up in a way that he always, using repeat orders, picks up loot there and flies to the next place, picks up loot there, etc., etc. This place is so safe. There will never be a pirate ship, or there will never be a Xenon ship that takes out the looter. And since the latest updates of X4 Foundations, these ships even automatically put everything they loot into your player-owned headquarters room. You have this special, how to say, the loot area you can access from there. So they automatically drop it off in your headquarters. That means later in the game, when you want to build EMP bombs in order to get blueprints, in order to start your own faction, buildings, stations, etc., etc., everything you will need in order to craft these things will already been taken from these loot guys. So they are very important, because when you are coming to that point in time, you probably don't have anything of that and start to knocking on every trade station in order to buy these things, and that is stress you can prevent early to have later. The same thing is the stones you need in order to build the EMP bombs that only get dropped by miners while they explode asteroids, for example. You can have a fighter there picking that up automatically, and you will never be in need to manually go there and have manual labor that only drags you down and pulls you back. Like I said, everyone can play the game however they want. Asteroid mining is a fun thing to have done at least once, so go ahead and explore the universe to your fullest content and however you want, but we are trying to get you rich ASAP. So, passive looters is done. Get around 10 to 14 pure freelancer katanas, because that is one thing. You can use these katanas in order to get, like I said, 3 to 4 auto miners in xenon free areas in order to get passive income very quick and early. More miners will start triggering carg spawns and result in losses of these miners. Then step 4, capture your first pirate destroyers. Okay, I'm grabbing ahead here. What was I saying? So around 10 to 14 pure freelancer katanas. What you have with the money amount of that is, first you have every square inch in the universe with possible safe zone like auto miner positions. How to say? These areas there are only so many areas you can have like auto miners without active protection, and the first 10 to 14 ships will give you more money than you could possibly use in order to place 4 auto miners in each sector in the entire universe, which would be profitable. There are special places on the map, but I have something in my backhand for that with another map where I completely have drawn anything noteworthy there, like for example Mitsuno's Revelation. These 3 sectors here are new to the game with the time. I already forgot how the new DLC was named, but these sectors have something special in them. No matter how many miners you have here, there will never be carg, there will never be xenon, and you can have like 40 miners here mining, and they will then actively start selling the ore towards the other sectors without ever really becoming endangered or attacked. So this is like a noob zone where you can build in completely peaceful zone, completely peace mode without any harm from the entire galaxy. You could completely build a ship dwarf here. This is like, yeah, an easy area just. That becomes more interesting later too when I decide to say something about that. But let's get back. So you have now completely passive income with auto miners in the galaxy, and I'm saying something to special areas like the Burrows later on, because the game logic here is very interesting. So make sure not to open up the Burrows to the entire galaxy by doing the quest line that opens up the warp gate in Heretic End, because you will lose a lot of money there, because as you see right now, here is no big ship dwarf, and they will start building one in the moment you open it up. And it is very profitable to have, let's say, 10 L-class traders filled to the brim with water when that happens. Like these are at least 30 to 40 million credits you will completely lose access to in the moment you open this, because they will start getting this stuff by themselves. So that is some info I will tell you later with the drawn map. What else? You have those 14 freelancer katana ships. Of course, you don't need all of them. It's cool to have 1 or 2 or 3 for a little personal fleet. Katana is one of the fastest M-class ships in the game. There are better alternatives, I think, because I don't like how these ships are turning and braking, and I would recommend other ships, but it's a very good ship to have early on with the 4 guns and the 2 turrets on top of it. It allows you to go anywhere in a relatively fast time. Yes, and make your start easier this way. But the main thing is, first thing, the the auto miners, and the second thing is what we are going to do now. Use the katanas in order to get... Okay, we have that point. Capture your first pirate destroyers, especially Scaleplate, Behemoth, and Phoenix. Because they are worth a lot of money. I would say not as much as the katanas, because depending on what you get, the worth and the time effort really doesn't add up. So you're definitely better off making the money with the katanas than with capturing destroyers. Sad but true. The thing is, you need those destroyers in order to get the next thing you will want to have. Use these ships in order to capture a Sonra trader. Why a Sonra trader? It is, to be totally honest, it is a matter of what you like. The Sonra trader especially is cool because I had a fully modded version of it, like using in-game mods. You can equip ships with it, and it was flying around 8,000 meters per second, and that is a little bit faster than some of the fastest scout ships in the game, while it has the ability to mount I don't know, this doesn't seem to be right. Turret slots 9, I'm pretty sure mine had 10 slots, but it could be modded. And this ship with 10 plasma cannons can 1-to-1 a Xenon K-Destroyer without losing, because it has a massive health pool, a massive shield pool, and that makes it very cool for anything related to boarding, especially since we have a crew capacity unmodded of 179 Marines possible. And this is one of the biggest crew sizes in a ship you can have. There are still, with modding, you can get up to 230 when I remember right. And that's more than enough to even capture an Asgard ship. And that's where we want to be before we even start trying to mess around with stations, etc., because our economy will suffer from destruction from Xenon side when we don't have anything to hold up against. So the first, let's say, 4 destroyers we use in order to have enough capacity on board of the ships to get a bigger ship with more crew members inside. And you will have very many losses across the Marines, but that's a thing you have to live with. Your passive income will carry you through this. So you have now the Sonra with 179 crews, and we use this bad boy in order to get the ultimate thing we want to have. Or let's say there are 2 things we want to have from this point. We even could potentially skip the Sonra, but that results in very many losses for what we actually want to achieve. Because the next thing we want to do with 4 to 5 destroyer class ships is we use these ships in order to capture the trader, yes. We take the reputation hit by Argon, or we buy it. I mean, it depends on how many sidetracks you had by now, like how much deep did you went into the story, how much passive income has generated over time. So there are 2 ways to go around at this point. So we use the Sonra with 179 crewmates in order to get our first auxiliary ship. And we get this auxiliary ship by a flyby method without fighting. What is flyby methoding? Check out for a guide from Captain Collins. He explains this. You're basically just exactly when your trader is very close to the ship, you hit the pause button and then you click on how's the word? Then you start the capturing process, and your Marines will instantly be able to dock on the other side. But this is with caution, because some of the ships do have rocket launchers, which are very effective against crewmates. Especially, there is a free auxiliary ship always parked near this trade station here at the Zagaris. that costs you a lot of people. So what I did is I took the reputation hit, I placed EMP bombs, and I completely disabled the defenses. Since the hit only counts as one, the reputation hit wasn't that hard because they simultaneously blew up and couldn't defend themselves. They will not try to fly away. This is one place. The other auxiliary ship that is basically free and gettable via flyby method is split auxiliary ship, always parked near Ina Musura 4. And like this, you can have the first auxiliary ship. The auxiliary ships are extremely important in order to secure your economy later on, because it basically allows it to repair a fleet completely for free. All it does have to have is resources on board, but while the resources are on board, every ship can dock and repair for free, including destroyers, which means you can dramatically increase the value of your pirate destroyers when you catch them. Like, you catch them on 10% HP, I say, then you let them dock at an auxiliary ship, and the value goes up from like 2 million to 16 million, and all of a sudden you have money in your hands. So auxiliary ship is a major point you want to get early. And then with help of the auxiliary ship and the Sonra together, you can get your hands on an Asgard. And I also recommend to take the reputation hit here, just to make sure you get it and it is not able to fly away, because the Asgard is not a sitting duck like the other ships. It will try to run away, so make sure the engines are down. However, this is like the start. You can have achieved this in around 4 to 5 hours of gameplay. Asgard with a full battle main battery, etc. You can have a bit bad luck and the main battery could blow up. That would mean that you have to grind up to 20 reputation with the Terran Republic in order to get a new main gun. But yeah, that's that. Let's go ahead. I try to keep this short as possible. Destroyers use the ships in order to capture Sonra. Use the Sonra to get the auxiliary. Optional but recommended is step 6. Do the same with a station builder ship, because in the moment you start building a station, every time you want to add a single module, these station builder ships will cost 200k, and that's a lot of money. When you can have a station builder ship right from the get-go, you will never have to pay for once in order to build your own station. So this is there's a lot of credits you can start wasting. You just then have it parked at your main station before you start expanding, but that's another topic. So get your rep back up. That takes a long time, up to 20. Yeah, okay. Step 9: start stealing blueprints and building. Start stealing blueprints and building some start building some small factories across the universe in order to speed up your passive income. That means one of the best things to get early in order to get money, pure money value, is like energy cells. They always go away, hull parts, and drugs and medicine. And this is very interesting because, for example, the Terrans have a major lag for their own medicine stuff, and I will show you what I did there, and it's one of my most profitable stations in the game in order to fulfill their desires. Another one where I had something was, don't let me lie, it could be here, yeah. Not Hagdiva's Choice. Where is Heretic? Silent Witness. Yes, Silent Witness 1. When you own this sector and then you can start planting your own drugs there, those pirates would love to buy your drugs. So this is another place where you can make massive amounts of money via drugs in Silent Witness 9. You can Google and look for other guides. They will tell you a couple good places. Like, for example, Trinity Sanctum 7 is a really good place. Here you can profit a lot from Teladi and Hope do have a trading connection, and it forces Teladi to move through the Pyramid sectors, which means here's another place for a good looter, a passive looter, because here always Teladi trader ships will be destroyed. There is a little mineral field right here where I got my first explosive stones, or however they're called, magnetic stones. And you can do this with the same loot Gaia. I call them loot Gaia, like loot vultures. Yeah. Let's not get sidetracked. Where was I? Yeah, this is where you start to add up your passive income, because in the moment your stations start to become profitable, it will be a big boost to you, and it allows you to make more passive income without expanding on the miners side, which allows you to not have a constant eye on all of your miners, because Car did not yet trigger. So after you have a couple spread out stations, small ones, don't even try to make mega stations. They will lag down your performance. I will show you what I mean by that later. Just a couple modules on it and let it be good. Like 2 to 4 traders, 2 to 4 miners. That should be more than enough to have a fully self-sufficient station that makes big profits when you're placing them in the right locations. The right locations are very intuitive, especially since some parts of the universe are randomly generated, and especially AI and market values there's not a set in stone situation. Like every time you start a game, you have to explore, you have to place a couple satellites in order to get an understanding for what is happening in your universe. You will see what I mean by the point you are that far. So you start prioritizing the blueprints that allow you to have a small functioning thing. So that means you have to have container storage, you have to have how is it called? Energy cells, production module, and you have to have a dock, a pier. That's all you need to have, just to have one station that is fully self-sustaining and functioning the way you want it. But like I said, before you even check into this, you will have to know the basics about global orders, repeat orders, how to manipulate your stations in trading only with your own faction or only selling stuff to enemies, so you're not effectively putting money into something that then evaporates. Okay, let's go ahead. Start seeing blueprints via EMP bombs in order to get your first Terran tech, free ship dwarf, and build the dwarf. What I mean by that, this is a very important point in this economical guide. The Terrans do have multiple resources the rest of the galaxy completely does not have, including computronic substrate and something else. And in the moment you buy a blueprint for any type of ship of the Terrans, this computronic substrate will be needed in order to buy it. What that means is, when you're having a ship dwarf in the split sector, and now you achieved the blueprint of one Terran ship, that means the split guys will start ordering ship parts which cannot be built in the split faction because there is no computronic substrate, and trading only goes for maximum of 5 tiles. So when there's a dwarf and he orders a ship with a Terran engine part in it, it can look around 5 tiles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it will not find computronic substrate. And the game logic will not allow the Teladi, for example, to realize that people want to have that and to buy it from somewhere else. Because AI is a little bit stupid. That means you have this functioning dwarf which made billions of profits an hour, like 20 to 13 million when it's properly set up. And all of a sudden, you have a list of 200 ships that should be built, and they can't build them because you're not having the parts. That means you are basically losing complete market value of this dwarf. It will not produce anything before ship 1 got produced. Even when they have a doable ship like in slot 20, they will not get to that. So your entire economy breaks down in the moment you buy a Terran blueprint, which digged me over very hard because I was not expecting that. And that forced me, while not having any sort of income at all, like past the passive incomes of miners, I was completely blank from one to the other moment. And that forced me to start making a trading station, because in order to produce computronic substrate and the other resources I'm not remembering right now, you need very high amount of energy cells. And the only place viable, like for example Earth has a sunlight yield of 100%, is Mercury with 714%. There is another place in the universe with high sun yield, but when I need to produce energy cells, I want to have it the most efficient way, because the entire galaxy and all my drafts are forced to being fed by these. Especially since now everyone and their mother want to have Terran tech into their ships. That means the usual 100% is no longer enough in order to produce enough energy cells in order to keep up with the demand of the market. So the other place you could technically get your energy from is the Everest system, which is in one of the DLCs. This, however, even though it has like the double amount of sun yield here, requires you to have manual labor, because there is a special resource only accessible in this unknown system. It's called condensate something. And every station which is placed in the Everest system needs to have this condensate. If they don't have that, they will get damaged by the high sun energy. So it has pros and cons. I have one Raptor class ship filled to the brim with Rayleigh small transporters. I've done the walk one time. I was here. I had around 2,000 to 5,000 in total of this condensate. And this is more than enough for the next, I would say, thousands of hours of gameplay. Yeah. When you have this, you will never run out of it again. So you probably could use it, but I like the idea of having a universe that still works when I'm dead under the ground. You know what I mean? And that's something. That's the reason why I didn't take advantage of the obviously higher sun yield. Let's see. We will slowly get into what to do in the world. Just let us finish this list. Start stealing blueprints. Build your first Terran tech free ship dwarf. This is where the main game change. The first big step ahead happens in the moment you have a dwarf that fully functions. That's like 8 to 20 million an hour passive. That's way more than all of your passive miners could achieve. And it will give you access to other aspects of the game. So now you have your first. Start expanding energy cell production and trade rounds from Mercury to the universe. You can't have enough energy cells in order to keep your dwarf production up once you unlock Terran tech, so be careful. Factions will order silicon carbonate and other Terran shenanigans once you unlock their ship blueprints, and it won't be accessible in the split sectors unless... This is basically everything I just told you. No one else ever will, and unless you manually bring it there, no one else ever will, and this can and will have a harmful impact onto your entire economy if not prepared properly. Everything can break down at this point. Like I said, this is what happened to me. So if you come this far into the guide, you already have a major advantage to dozens of hours in order to fix that issue, which would happen ahead of time, if you know what I mean. So this was step 11. Step 11 or 12. In order to establish the necessary trade routes, you will need to protect those against xenon influences. So set up xenon gate control stations in order to stop their progression and protect your trade routes. I will come to this a little later on the drawn map I said. Congratulations, now you have a name in the known galaxy, probably did some parts of the story, and you start to make more money than you're losing. Step 13, start expanding your mining operations. Do this with caution and make sure you have protection for those miners. A well-protected mining fleet allows you to ignore Karg manifestation entirely. As long you're losing miners, they simply are not protected enough. Step 12 or 13. I'm saying this because it is very frustrating once your empire grows big enough that warnings start plopping up at any corner of the universe that something attacks your miner, your trader, etc., etc. A couple aspects we can tune down about that, and this is why we will want to have protection, and how we make this protection goes later. I'm telling to you later. So step 14 then is start boosting the Boron economy. This is the point where we want to open Heretics End and open up these sectors. As long this gate is closed, there is no time passing in these sectors at all. Like, the first time you step foot into this sector, everything starts going in these sectors. There are a couple exceptions to this rule, and a couple identical things, like for example, here is a Xenon station which will never produce a single K-destroyer and never send a single ship out into the known universe as long you're not stepping your foot in Emperor's Pride 4. I will show you this more clear on the map I've drawn later and explain to you that stuff like that is an abundancy in the universe, and I only have explored or interacted with some parts in my own playthrough, which is a save file with a couple hundred hours in it, or 1,000 hours. I mean, I'm terraforming the third planet right now, so there's a lot to be going over, and a lot I will not say just in order to save time in this project. Let's see how fast we can get it done. So you have your first dwarf, you start expanding your mining operations, start boosting the Boron economy. In order for sector security, you will want to have a couple guppies. In order to abuse their fleet commands, you will want to have an auxiliary ship in duty for this fleet that allows for unmanaged auto repairs. So, like 5 years ago, the way I had to secure my sectors was I had to manually take 4 to 5 northern ships, which have very high shield and very high hull, and had to manually set protection areas across the ways where my miners were flying. And since the updates where we have a better fleet AI, we got so many options in order to make this tedious process a little less tedious and automate it a little bit more, which was a day to night difference. Why Guppy? Guppy is a Boron controlled L-class carrier ship, the only L-class carrier in the entire game. That means an L-class is way more cheap than an XL ship. The downside the Guppy has is that it only has space for S-class ships, but S-class ships is all you really need in order to protect your miner fleets against Karg. You don't need M or L-class, they are not fast enough, and your miners will die before they get to there in order to protect them. So what I have is one fleet with like 10 Guppies aboard, which gets fed by one auxiliary ship, and every S-class ship that is part of a Guppy fleet, like for example one L-class Guppy can make 4 to 5, I'm not knowing it exactly right now, but 4 to 5 squads that then allow them to individually have squad waypoints where these ships will be guarding. The positive aspect about that is, since none of the S-class ships ever will land on the guppies, you can have a guppy with 400 S-class ships assigned to it. The only limitation here is the 4 to 5 squads this guppy could create like this. That means you really can have majorly heavy forces big enough to completely protect areas against Xenon. Because of the out-of-sector calculations, you won't even lose a single fighter while they fight against an intruding Xenon K, for example. As long you're not right there in the sector looking at the K, it's a pure numbers game, and the numbers then let the K evaporate. This is one way you can make the sector security in order to protect your trade routes. The other way is a Xenon gate control, I call it. Like, you're making a defense station right in front of a gate with a lot of defense platforms on it, with argon, plasma, cannons on top of it, and then you let the numbers play itself out. The ups of this is you can connect this with another feature of the game, which is the recycling. But in order to feed the recycling again, you have to have a lot of energy cells. So I will tell you more about that on the map I've drawn, because it's way more easy to show like that. So we've expanded our mining operations. We have established a couple or one fleet with a lot of guppies, with a lot of S-class ships protecting the areas where our miners are, and because of that, there is no more losses of miners, because we have enough of these ships and enough of these defense points, and that allows us to completely have a loss-free game regarding the mining. I need to specify regarding the mining, because trading ships have other issues, and these issues are caused by undodgeable losses. And undodgeable losses mean, I will show you this on the map later, is the split pirate faction that always sneaks around the place. You can completely buy the scale plate packed by terraforming a planet for them later, so they will never again be a problem for your trading ships. But as far as I'm aware, there's no option like that that prevents this split pirate faction from being a nuisance in the universe. So you will always lose a couple trading ships when you're not careful enough, when you're not having destroyers protecting these. That's a sad thing you can completely turn off. Hey Schatz, ich mach gerade ein Tutorial, ja? Gerade nicht, nein. Sorry for the little interruption. Congratulations, now you have a name in the known universe, probably did some parts of the story, and you start to make more money than you're losing. You start expanding your mining operations, you have your own dwarf, etc., etc. You've protected your mining fleet against Karg, so you no longer are forced to regularly destroy Karg manifestations just to keep the place safe. It's still an option, but I like options which are not forcing me to do something. That's manual labor, and I have people for that. Yes, we're starting to boost the Boron economy simply because they allow us access to the Guppy, but in the moment you open this gate, they will not have the resources to do any of that. So you want to have a high reputation in order to be able to build your own Guppies, or you will abuse the fact that there is a very high demand of resources in the moment you open this. So the way I did it was like, I had 5 to 10 L-class traders ready to go with hull parts, water, I think 120k hull parts, 200k water, something like that, ice. And then I started boosting this in the moment I opened this. But this is the story of my old universe. This game has multiple starts. None of them can harm you. Even when you start with the Borons, you will start in heretics ends. And nothing forces you to open this gate. But the game will not tell you that you're losing millions of money when you do that. So it depends on what you're expecting to get from the DLCs. And this is very different from player to player, from veteran to new player. Like I said, there's nothing wrong in enjoying the game the way you want it. So just be aware that in the moment you go in there, you're losing 120 million credits. Like that, in a dime. So we have managed to get past the dry theory, and I'm happy that I'm no longer be forced to read from my little notepad here. If you got past this point, please leave a like already. I don't know how long the video is already going. I hope I made it as fast as possible. It was very tedious for me, myself too, but this will greatly improve how you enjoy the game, because there is really a lot to make wrong, and this can hold you and lock you in place for so many more hours. I would be happy if somebody has made something like this to hear it in a fast way like I did now. So let's go to my own map. Now you're choking, I guess, because this is quite a lot to take in, right? Let me explain this to you in a way I came into the game. The best starts, in my opinion, are either the Argon Young Gun, because you are very central in the universe, or the Teladi start, because you are in a very protected area. You start. Oh, wait a minute. I like this map more. Okay. You start in Grand Exchange 3, where there's no Xenon activity around, so you can play there in a medium type of tough environment. For an easy type, you go here for your first station, etc. Like I said, no Karg shenanigans, no fleet shenanigans. You can just mass produce miners there, and they will automatically even sell stuff to stations you manually are not allowed to sell to. Like, your miners here will then sell stuff to to the Quetta nodes, even though they don't have market trades on the map with which you could personally interact. They will sell ores to this faction or to other factions without your need of interacting with it. The higher the star rating of your pilots, the further away they can auto trade. But that's that. Let's get back to this. So, what is the goal of our economical powerhouse? So, there were two goals. Like, one goal is to have balance in the universe in order to have a maximum efficiency in regards of profits, that people can buy stuff from you. So, it's probably wise to make sure Xenon only harms them that much. You still want Xenon to harm them, because that's more profit for you, right? If nothing attacks them, they have no reason to build chips. So that's one reason why we don't want to have entire peace in the universe, because that will dramatically hit us hard when it comes down to terraforming, which is very, very expensive and requires tons of storage place on your player HQ. Another thing I wish somebody would have told me is, do not massively expand production on the player HQ. I swear to God, I have like 400 large storage containers on the player HQ, and I can't even get close to that thing without completely dragging my computer down into the cellar. But that is what you actually will need in order to fast and efficiently be able to terraform. What you will want to have at this point is pure storage capacity and people. So you have a high amount of builders and how to say, the efficiency with which your dwarf on the player HQ produces terraforming drones is in relation with the amount of fully kept living quarters, if you get what I mean. So you will have to have a small dwarf there, but what you really need is storage in order to get these massive amounts of resources transported to the planets. Like I have like 3 to 4, don't let me lie, 3 to 4 construction modules which only produce these terraforming drones. But I got a bit overboard at the start, and this is why I'm completely mixing and matching people. Like I have Borons on my station, I have Terrans on my station. This is all unnecessary and only slows down your production because everyone wants something else. Then all of a sudden you have to have the double amount of storage capacity just to have the medicine aboard in order to keep your production as high as possible. And when you are at this point that you're starting to terraform, you don't want to wait for your resources. This is a point where money becomes such a high value, where billions of money of credits just evaporate in the sun, where everything has to be set in stone. This means you have to have multiple dwarves making the necessary money in order to buy water supplies, in order to buy everything from the galaxy, because you will not be able to alone completely stack all those storage in order to get to this point. And this is why we start with how we get the production of every dwarf to the maximum. And to the maximum means we have a dwarf inside the split territories which has the capability to build all ships in the universe, all Terran tech, all Teladi, all Boron, and they will print money for us. But in order to unlock the Terran tech, we first need to make sure that we have the trade stations that exclusively bring us all these energy cells from point Mercury over to Tarka's ravine. That means, in order to even run this system the way we want it, we at least need to have 5-star managers on each of these trading stations. That means, even when it's not that profitable early, we need to have them run and make their own trades while it is cost inefficient in order for them to be able to reach to these 5 stars. With 5 stars managers, you can have the entire galaxy B-sides of Syat's Domination X and 11th Hour in direct range of your trading network, with the amount of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 trading stations in the entire universe allow you to produce everything everywhere. This is the maximum amount of freedom you will have in this game when it comes down to economy. Because now I'm building my Asgards in the split faction because the station is just better. I don't know why. I'm honestly not so sure. What I could give you on the way is that this is a representation of around 20 stations inside of the system. Don't make the mistake to build one big thing, because the building time for each new model gets longer and longer and longer. So every resource I need gets produced in a specifically made station just for that. My energy cells have one station. There's no energy cell production on all the others. And the same goes for hull parts, claytronics, etc., etc. like this, you always have the ability to add up on your production without interfering with the balance too much, if you get what I mean. When all of a sudden I have not enough Claytronics, I don't have to wait 6 hours for another Claytronic module, because on my small Claytronic factory, this is done in 20 minutes. This is what I want to say. And it allows you to actively go into first person to look at these stations, because the render distance, which interferes with your hardware components, is like basically a 45-kilometer radius around your ship. That means you still can visit these places without causing your PC to getting completely drained with the CPU power. Captain Collins has explained this in 1 or 2 videos pretty well, and I strongly recommend to look at that too, just to make the game able to keep up, how to say, to keep up. X4 Foundations is extremely CPU heavy, and the more you can do in order to reduce the power it takes, the better your game will run in the late game. As I started playing this game, I had to stop the game because my PC got at its limits. All of a sudden, I doubled the amount of power of my CPU, and I finally was able to even look at terraforming. This is how CPU heavy this game is. So, you're at the point where you're running around 120 L-class traders, transporting forcefully energy cells from A to B to C. They won't do that on their own, so you have to have repeat orders which tell them to transport away, transport away, transport away. Like, each storage is half filled with energy cells they may keep, and half filled with energy cells they will auto sell to the next and to the next place. Like, we have this chain that forces energy cells into the furthest distances of the universe just to get that going. A couple other tips. I mean, by now the main thing is through, but what we need to talk over is how you protect the trading routes against Xenon in order to come to this point. You don't want to have 120 traders. You had to similarly set up with repeat orders one by one, and then seeing it, getting them destroyed by a Xenon K that randomly flies by. So what I strongly recommend is you set up a gate control in Profit Center Alpha, because after 5 hours, Xenon Ks and Ice will go there and start destroying the ship dwarfs of the Teladi. Why the Teladi? The Teladi have the best miners in game. The fastest with the biggest storage capacity, and this is exactly what you want for all your mining fleet. So sorry for everyone who's using Argon miners or Pyramid miners. Teladis are simply the best when it comes to efficiency and cost. Yeah, end of the story. And this never changes. This goes for the large ones and the small ones. However, the longer travels you have, the better becomes what Argon comes with. And I'm not talking about the Sonra. I'm exclusively using the Inca Catua. Yes, Inca Catua is the best trader for long trips. Like, I'm talking about really long trips. Explicitly for the trading stations. Here we have always 5 sectors to jump through, and this is where nothing beats the Inca Catua, storage-wise and speed-wise. So that's one thing to have in mind. Yeah. Whew, my head is a little bit burning by now. Oh, food. However, let's fast jump across a couple topics that will have impact onto your game. is the hotspots. You don't want to lose the trading station in open market. You don't want to lose the dwarfs in profit center alpha. Another gate you want to have, so Xenon is unable to interfere with your trade round up to the split section, is in matrix 451. You must stop them entirely there. If you have this station here and this station, the entire trade route is safe. They will never go across this side. They will always go through here. There's another spot, a hotspot, Haktiva's Choice 1s, which is very crucial to hold because the Haktiva trade station is the only building that keeps this station in Haktiva's control, and the faction disappears if the trade station gets destroyed. So there's always an abundance of Xenon trying to go here. I also had Xenon so hard that they managed their way over to Argent Prime and started destroying the Argent ship dwarfs. A destroyed Argent dwarf or a destroyed Teladi dwarf means more than 8 to 16 hours of real in-game time in order for them to restore a way to build their ships. Argon and Teladi cannot start building ships somewhere else. They will not start using the other Argon Dwarf here because this is another faction. So this is what you really have to defend. There are other hotspots where money will be printed, like Gitsufune. No matter what you do, you don't have to interfere ever. Xenon will never be able to go to the void or to go past the asteroid field, which is also a beautiful place to set up shop for your own Terrantech dwarf. This is where I have my chips, and I've never seen a single Xenon K come past here. The only thing I sometimes see is pirates, but this is where money gets printed for you without your need of interfere. Especially since this jump is a one-way jump. Even when you completely clear this area, Xenon will still come from Matrix 7 9B over to Getsufune and still makes some sort of money for you. I highly recommend to not make the mistake that I did in my first playthrough and completely wipe the Xenons, because the Xenons are completely unable to recover, and the Xenons are the only faction you really can completely eradicate from the universe. Once all dwarfs of the Xenons are done, you will never again see a Xenon ship in the universe, including the new Xenon H. These are ships that you can no longer get your hands on in the moment the Xenon faction disappears. Which was a bit sad because my game file was so old that already happened before the newer updates came into place. A good thing is, with the newer updates and the newer DLCs, a couple new sectors got implemented, which then had Xenons in them. And yeah, Xenons print money for you, so make sure to keep them contained, but make sure to not keep them too contained, because if the universe becomes too strong, they will start actively hunt down the last Xenon stations, which happened to me in this scenario, because as you see on the screen, some Xenon sectors are marked as inactive Xenon. What I mean with inactive Xenon is the same as I meant with the Borons, which are not appearing in the galaxy before you open this jump gate, even though they theoretically have a connection to the universe via Circle of Decide, Adventurous Promise, and so on. But as long you're not knocking on the door, they will not exist, they will not being simulated. And in the moment you go through this door, all of this you see here on this map will just magically pop up. And that's the same with some Xenons. If you never step your foot into this place, they will always be there. In the moment you go to Emperor's Pride 4 and then you leave the system, go completely on the other side of the map, 20 hours later, this will all be purple. There will no other Xenons be there because the Pyranid has completely taken over. Like, this could be important for you. What I really recommend, and this sounds stupid now, because you're cutting yourself off of content, is do not clear Xenon out of Matrix 7-9B. In the moment this bad boy is no longer in Xenon hand, the universe starts to become a friendly place where nobody wants to buy your wares for a high price. That means the Yaki plot has to be done carefully and without completely ruining their ecosystem there. So make sure to have good relations with Yaki, just so you can get the blueprints and start building all their stuff if you like. But don't eradicate Xenons out of these sectors. They make so much money for you, it's crazy how hard it is to compensate for the loss of the constant damage here. So this is why I call this a late gate. Because in the early times of the game, this is really not important to you. But later on, in the moment you have this trade station situation, you will constantly lose L-class traders when they're trying to get past here. So this is when there has to be a gate. The entire split section here is a weak faction, weak like the Xenon up here. They will counteract each other without ever being endangered or having the upper hand. They will never get Rise Defiance in Matrix 5-9B without your help. So it might be cool to get rid of the Xenons up here, just so it has a bit more buffer zone, so they have a better production and need to trade more with you. Because when they are beaten down like a dog, they will never be in the money, which allows them to trade to the fullest potential with you. But these sectors here you can technically completely ignore. There is the least amount of profit to do, and they only exist to give Xenon another route to attack the galaxy. But it is a route where Xenon never dominates. The real dominations are here with the red arches. These are places where you have to be careful. Besides this one, Getsufune, no matter what happens, they will never dominate there. They will never go into the Terran places. They will never interfere with your trading, because Terran and Argon do have a very solid battle front line here and constantly fight each other in a way that when a Xenon K appears, it will simply get killed in the process. My head is really hurting. I think I need to drink something. The other thing that might be interesting for you is the pirates that keep bothering you forever because there's no way to make them friendly, are from the split faction. When you destroy a faction's dwarf, they will always try to rebuild it. I have tested it out by myself with the under faction of the Teladis. I completely killed them because they didn't like me being not on good terms with these splits, because the, how is this called? The finance departure loves trading with these. And my first gate control always shut them down, and that caused even the finance department of Teladi to be unfriendly with me. So I completely eradicated all stations from them, just to see them rebuilding and rebuilding again, till the point where I had to make good terms again. So I grinded all the way up from minus 20 rep to 20 plus, so I finally don't had casualties on my gate defense system. Yeah. That means you are completely unable to get rid of the pirates here, because they will rebuild it, and then they still have access to another harbor where they can make the destroyers and the fighters. But it has a good thing, because in family TKR, when you place a satellite there, there will always be pirate splits fighting with normal splits. In the result is that there will always be an abundance of abundant S-class ships. Like every time I check here, there are 5 to 10 S-class ships. Mambas, and how are they called? Which I just have to pick up. So what I have is I have a couple destroyers patrolling here to maybe have luck with capturing one of the rattlesnakes, but usually they pretend to be someone else, so there's no shooting there. Just to regularly pick up the fleet here to either sell them or to expand my sector security. Yeah, a good tip. That's a lot of money you can just pick up there. Just make sure you don't having a destroyer too close, because they will start shooting, and when you're in the same sector, you will start getting reputation hits by accidental bullets that hit the station. Yeah. What else is interesting? Yeah, this gate here at Matrix 9 to Matrix 451. If you have a gate there, your trade route is safe. If you're not having a gate there later on, this trade station of the Teladi becomes endangered and potentially becomes destroyed, which completely shuts down the Teladi trade between those sectors, which really transforms Teladi into a passive faction and doesn't allow them to get back into the game. This trade station is necessary in order to get the profits between Pyramid and Teladi, so you can sell to both factions as much as you want. So make sure this trading station does not accidentally get destroyed like the dwarfs in Profit Center Alpha. So what else? I mean, the position of your dwarfs is completely up to you. This is just I liked it to have the background, but everyone can do what they want, you know. Trinity Sanctum is really nice because of the under factions of Pyramid, with which you can then also trade and get your reputation up. But that is basically... Is there anything else I can tell you? There's a high value for silicon from Saturn. I can show you on the map really quick, which is a really good opportunity to start your economy, because where is it? Saturn? Or in silicon. This is the only silicon. Like you see here, the asteroid belt has low amounts of silicon, and all these sectors don't have silicon at all. So this is the only silicon the Terrans can use in order to produce their own fleet. And their own trading setup is not so good. So make sure to make a good silicon factory right here, connect it up all the way to Earth and Mercury, so they can build their own ships and start producing more money in battles with Argon, just for you. What else is interesting? So Silicon at Saturn. They don't have food anywhere here, so Saturn 1 or Jupiter are very good places to start Terran medicine and Terran food. And also can be traded. I mean, you're already here to make this trade station with the energy from point A to B, so why not abusing what you can? Food, medications there. Is there anything else? I think I covered everything. Everything necessary for you to know. Small profits. Yeah, Grand Exchange 4 is a safe area where you can expand a little bit, but Teladi never really wants to trade as well with you as in other areas. I don't know, I had stations there, but they never been really profitable. Here's another thing important. The buffer zone between Argon and the Holy Order of Pontifex, HOP. If True Sight falls and becomes a part of Argon, HOP crumbles and loses to the Pyramid faction. So the next thing that happens is Pontifex claim becomes a part of Pyramid. So make sure true sight never falls. In order to manipulate the AI in a way that they will give away sectors to other factions, you can use small trading ships, fill them with mines, place them near a defense station that holds the ownership of the sector, and blew up all 100 mines in a split second while you're out of sector. Like that, you will not get a reputation hit, or like you have to click the detonate button and then jump out of sector, and then this is just a building that disappeared from the map and gives new access to the sector, because the ownership then changes to it's belonging to nobody, and Paranoid Hop will try to get again foot into true sight. Yeah, make sure this situation stays like this, because it will have major implications on your ecosystem. What else could I say? You will have the chance to combine the Paranids with the hops. I strongly recommend to not do that, because this combination, the piece you have there, comes with the price that the Paranid pirate faction disappears, which then you won't be able to construct the Prometheus anymore when that happens. Yeah. So make sure they keep their aggressions up, and then you're good to go. This is all you need for preparation for actual terraforming. I know this was a bit dry and it took longer than I expected, but if I could help you in some way, if you have questions, leave them in the comments. Yeah. Have a nice day. I end this right here. Goodbye.